right, so now we're going to go in and we're going to erase out our gesture, leaving only our contour and getting it ready for activation of negative space. I'm unhappy with my white eraser. It's leaving marks. So going with my good old handy dandy mechanical pencil eraser. One of the few good uses for a mechanical pencil in art class. Also, it gives you a little more precision because it's smaller. Right, so now I have my area clean and ready. So today we're gonna be working with activating the negative space. So over here, we sort of did that when we did our green application of colored pencil, but you guys are gonna be tasked with the concept of creating a really wonderful pattern in 3 or 4, but no more colors for your activation of negative space. I'm going to demonstrate several different ones, and colored pencil is an option. So when I choose my colored pencils, I'm going to make sure that I have a light color, and I'm going to make sure that I have a couple medium value colors. I'm going to make sure that I have a dark color, and I'm going to make sure that one of them is very bright and one of them is very dull. And that will give me the ability to choose and make a wide variety of things and have good variety without having too many colors. I'm also going to choose one color to be dominant. In other words, I want to use it more than the others. I love this peacocky blue color, so that's going to be my dominant color, and these other colors are going to be a little bit more submissive, or they're going to be there in less quantity. So if I was to take the design that I already have and I decide that I want to go in and add in some pattern to it, notice that I'm creating some visual interest to the area that I've already done. Now, you can create very seamless, beautiful patterns by using just lines. You can be inspired by shapes. On the video that Ms. Pollock shared, you definitely have the, she has a really beautiful design that's intricate. When you have those designs, they are much more, that are intricate and tight is the way I like to call them, where your patterns are tight together, then you're gonna have a much more successful piece. If you are interested in using marker, then you could also activate your negative space with the creative application of medium here. Here, what the students have done is they've gone in and they've applied the markers in different kinds of ways, and they've used them. Notice that this blue is repeated often, and so is this magenta color, but the blue is darker, and so it sort of stands out. This particular person would need to put the highlighter blue in first in this section, and then they came in with their squiggles and the purple and the magenta, and then they came back over with the broad blue stripes. Notice that they went all the way up to and included the contour pencil line, but that the pencil line itself has been completely erased, so that we end up with this beautiful white silhouette of our subject, which is very, very similar to our chair from exercise 15, but yet we've created visually stimulating applications of medium, either through creative layering of marker, invention and use of patterning with colored pencil, like is displayed by Ms. Pollock, and then I will demonstrate in class how we can put down a ground of watercolor and we can make that work. So I think I said that I really liked that peacocky blue. So I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and do the demo now. So I'm gonna make that blue-green. So with my watercolor, I'll come and mix a blue-green in the palette. This blue is too bright, So I need to add some either yellow or green to tone it down and make it more of a peacocky color. It's still very blue, but it's got just that little hint of green to it. When working with watercolor, in this particular area, I'm only going to do some of them. So I'm going to do what's called the outline and fill. So I'm going to outline this area, and I've chosen one of my very important areas that has lots of different kinds of ins and outs and smooth and rough areas. So I'm going to very carefully then fill it. I'm going to repeat this for a couple of my other shapes so that later in class, when I show you how to work with this, it'll be nice and dry. So this is going to give me a beautiful ground to work on that I can layer my colored pencils or markers right up on top of. I think I'm going to do this one as well. And then I want to choose one of my large spaces, but I'm not sure which one. Need a little bit more on my brush. Outline and fill. You got to do it quick so that your line that you're using doesn't dry first, and you're good. And then I want a larger space with the blue, so get a little bit more water on my brush, and then I think I'm just gonna do this great big space right in here. This one's gonna be a little more challenging. Gotta be very careful to go all the way up to my pencil line. Get that lovely curvy edge of the leaf. This little area right here is going to be difficult because I need to leave a little teeny gap of white, but I did it. I've got to repeat that. Before my space completely dries out, I'm going to go back in and fill that first space. Being careful to maintain my little white island of dry paper. A little more paint on my brush. Notice I knew how to stop and put paint on my brush because the line got raggedy and it wasn't a nice smooth line of paint. And so the paintbrush will tell you when it needs more paint. You just have to listen to it. I know that sort of sounds like Bob Ross, but who doesn't love Bob Ross? And he has good suggestions. A little more paint on my brush. And now I'm going to do that complicated line using just the very point of my brush to encourage the paint to go where I want it to go. Notice I slowed down how fast my hand was moving. And then I'm going to go back in and fill it. And I'm just about out of paint on my brush, but I think I have just enough to fill the area. So this is a way for me to use watercolor. Notice I chose some of my shapes to fill, and I'm going to leave the rest of them plain. And then in class, I'll be able to demonstrate how to put and layer some other things on top of it for the creative application of medium, as well as activating that negative space with a very interesting tight pattern.